Hey folks, today we're going to do a look back video on the cell phone technology that I used pre-smartphone. So this is 2005, 2006 we're talking about. This is the beginning of my high school career. And back then, you know, having a phone was a privilege, you know. Even if it was a cheap one, it was still a privilege because, you know, it just wasn't as ubiquitous as it is now. I mean, it sort of was, but it wasn't like a requirement. You didn't have to carry a cell phone in order to live. Nowadays it seems like you have to get things done, especially if you're in the world of IT or you need to keep up with your emails constantly or anything like that. This is before all that was really ubiquitous with everybody. We're looking at the pre-smartphone days. So let's start with the first cell phone I ever owned back in 2005. Yes, even back then I was using Motorola phones. I use Motorola Android phones today, and I used Motorola dumb phones back in the day. So my life with Motorola has been a very long one, and I've been very happy with them for a long time. This is the box. I managed to find this box on eBay. Brand new, unopened. This is a Motorola i205, I believe. Yeah, it's the Motorola i205. I got this phone back in 2005 because my parents thought it was a good idea that I have this in case of, like, you know, emergencies or whatever. If I need to get a hold of somebody, it would be wise to have a cell phone, and that's true. Plus, it helps to have one of these anyway because I can text people with the keyboard and yada yada yada. The only problem is this ran on the Nextel network back when that existed, and Nextel back then was basically Sprint, and Sprint in my area is horrible. I don't get a signal in my house. Same with T-Mobile. I don't really get a signal in my house, so the Ting Sim cards that I have now only really get a signal when I'm at work. So that was a common problem. I used to have to hold this phone like to the window to be able to text people, or keep it in one position and leave it there. It was a pain, but I could use it however I wanted when I was out, because I would get a signal either at school or you know, when we were out somewhere. I would normally just get a signal, so that it was kind of an occasion to use this thing because it didn't work in my house, thanks to me living in an area that's basically cell hell as far as reception. So let's take a look at the box here. So it's a Nextel phone. This is exactly how I got it on the Nextel network. Motorola, the old Motorola before they were bought and sold by a bunch of companies. It's the i205 on this side. This was their old logo. Now, or their old slogan, now means now. I think that was the slogan for Nextel rather than Motorola. I can't quite remember. Here's the side of the box here. 600 contact entries. Ooh, just in case you have that many friends, you know. Vibracall alert, GPS enabled. I didn't know this had GPS on it. I don't think I ever used that once. Downloadable ringtones. I used the hell out of downloadable ringtones. I used to have a Carlos Mencia ringtone that went dee dee dee. Somebody needs to pick up the phone. That just shows you that if that doesn't scream 2005, I don't know what else does. Multi-language support. And something that carries through to Motorola phones today, changeable phone covers. The swappable backs on the Moto G, the swappable stripes, or the swappable border bumper on the Moto E, and Moto Maker for all the phones on Motorola's site now. The customizability thing has not changed a bit. You can still do that with Motorola phones today. So a lot of the spirit of the company is still there. So I just thought that was cool to see. Nextel. Done. Well, in my case, it was Nextel, no reception. Ah! Well, that's a bit startling. With my clients, timing isn't everything, it's the only thing. I think that's a bit jarring to just have somebody's face just like, you know, right on the back of the box there. I mean, she looks pretty happy to me, so, you know, there you go. It's on the bottom here. Smart drivers talk safely, which basically means don't talk and drive. Now it's don't text and drive. Looks like the phone is from around 2004, despite me getting it in 2005. So this is 2004 mobile technology. And that explains why it was so damn cheap at the time. If my memory tells me that this was a $10 phone at the time. I might be wrong about that, but that's what my memory tells me. That's 11 years ago. I could be completely wrong. I don't really know. Here's what the box has in it. You get the digital IO5 phone, SIM card, battery charger, welcome guide, and user's guide. So enough of waffling on about the box. Looks like it has some sort of thing inside of it there. Hey guys, it's Chinese food. Look at that. There you go. You get the clamshell here. There's the phone itself. Look at that. Oh man, I remember this. It's in perfect shape. Perfect shape. Look at that. It's beautiful. And in the box, you would get the Nextel charger. Remember back when chargers looked like that? Oh boy, that was some stuff back in the day. Here's your Nextel Sim Card. It was the old big SIM, which you still get today in certain degrees. Yeah, look at that SIM ID 2003. It says on the copyright date. Of course, this would not work anymore because this phone runs on iDEN. Which I think I don't know how that relates to GSM, but it does somehow. It runs on iDEN, which I don't think phones use anymore. I think iDEN was really old technology. Here's the battery, which has never been used, so it should work just fine. And they used to give you a huge manual back in the day. Look at that. There you go. I'm going to put these manuals back in the box, along with the SIM card and the everything else there. I just wanted to look at the phone itself. So here's the phone itself. It has a black and white backlit display. Just typical controls for a phone this age. You know, you get your T9 pad, which this phone made me learn how to text really fast on. I used to text people on this really quickly. I can still do it now actually, because I had to use a dumb phone for a while, just a couple years ago. Feels just like the old phone did. See, this phone's still comfortable now. Like it looks chunky, but it feels comfortable in the hand. It feels robust. Now this button here is interesting. Back then, these Nextel phones had push to talk. That was a bit like a walkie-talkie. I think it was intended for people in construction or industry to use instead of their walkie-talkies, so they could just use this and be like, hello, and you know, be done with it that way. You get your volume rocker there. Get a little lanyard thing there, which is it's a bit unusual. I wouldn't put a lanyard on a phone. You get your little plastic ridges for the cradle if you were to buy that. There's the back shell and the front shell, both of which can be replaced. On the bottom you get the charging port. Look at that. Man, that's an old connector. There is a headset jack on the side here. I'm looking at you, Apple. There's your headset jack. I think it uses a 2.5 millimeter headset connector there. So let's take the back off and take a look at it. Put the camera down here and we'll take the back off. So the way you do that on these old phones, you just move the lever up and the back comes right off. And the SIM card is in there actually, so we can take a look at it. What do the old SIM cards look like? Come on. Back when you used to store contacts on your SIM card. Wow, look how different that pattern is. Those contact pads are much different than they were, than they are now, rather. Nextel 600 contacts. Compatibility, yada yada yada. That's the old SIM card for you, which I will stick right back in. There you go, there's your speaker there. Looks like there's no IMEI. think. No, there is an IMEI on the label there. There you go. Here's a shell. Little rubber bumper on the inside. Oh yeah, you gotta put the antenna around it. That's one thing I should show off is the antenna. You can take a phone like this, and if your reception was bad, you can just pull the antenna up and then talk on the phone like that. So, back in the day, you'd just be like this. What's up, dude? Radical. And then, you know, that would be it. Extend the antenna, do not touch the antenna area. That's a bit weird. Maximize performance while in use. But yeah, that's the Nextel phone. That was the first cell phone I ever had. And boy, is it dated now. We're using iDEN for its networking technology and all the other stuff it does. It's really ancient history now. Cell phone technology has moved very quickly since 2007. I'll tell you that much. But yeah, there you go. That's the first cell phone I ever had. So, what was the second cell phone I had? After this phone here, I ended up getting a flip phone because I really liked flip phones at the time. So I ended up getting yet another Motorola phone, Nextel. I think Nextel back in the day was a big proponent of the Motorola phone, which is what got me started on these. But yeah, this is a flip phone. It's another Nextel one. I managed to find this one on eBay for very cheap. It's all screwed up and scuffed up, but I only wanted to get this just to show it to you guys anyway. It was like $10. Some of you guys that went to school with me might remember me having this phone. I did a lot of texting on this phone too. Tons of it. And I always thought the design on the up here was a little interesting. These little like honeycomb. That little honeycomb design up there, and you could see right through to the screen cable and whatever else. Maybe that's the screen cable. I don't know what that is. Whatever. And there's your receiving end. There's your buttons on the phone itself. And here's a sound that's very nostalgic for me. Yeah. On the side of the phone, you have your push-to-talk button, your volume rocker, a headset jack, charging port underneath that. It's the same charging port as the other phone, I think. The back cover is made of metal, which is impressive. You really have to push that in to get it off. There you go. Is that proof enough for you? It's metal. Metal backing cover. And there's your battery. It's a 3.6 volt lithium ion battery. SIM card slots right there. You just open that up and then stick it right in there. This has an IMEI number as well. I really wonder if you could use these phones today. Some sort of conversion. I doubt it. Probably need a different modem entirely. Who remembers doing this? Like lining up the back cover and all that stuff? Oh man. I think this one you could probably swap the back but not swap the front. I don't think the swappable stuff happened with this particular phone. However, it did have the extendable antenna that I used to fidget with constantly. Hey man, have you seen the newest My Chemical Romance album? It's cool! 2006, man, that's what it was all about. So that's the phone I had in 2006, and this was my Nokia 3310. This thing was really freaking rugged. I threw this thing when I was in marching band. I threw this thing across the band room and hit the wall on the opposite side. The only thing that broke was the battery cover. And I think it was only the latch for the battery cover that broke, actually. I forget. But I had to tape the battery cover on after that. But the phone worked fine until I got my original iPhone just after this. I had this phone for a while. There's the LCD display on the front I forgot about. I'll actually show you a few things here. I used this phone up until about 2007 when I got the original iPhone. And from then on, I've been using smartphones exclusively when I can. For secondary lines and stuff, I've actually used this phone. This is a $13 Posh candy bar phone. This is a modern dumb phone, feature phone. Is what I should really call them. It has micro USB and a headphone jack. So, and it has an SD card slot as well. So, this is the modern. This is the new, and these are the old. So there you go. I started on Motorola. Continued on Motorola, went to the iPhone up until about 2014, and then went back to Motorola again, only with smartphones this time. So I've really been a lifelong Motorola user, and I never really realized it until now. Cool, man. But yeah, that was a look back at my world of cellular devices pre-smartphone world. When using a phone was a privilege, when using a phone was something a little more special, and you know, it was you know, it wasn't just like it wasn't taken for granted. You know what I mean? Nowadays, everybody has a cell phone. Back then, at least when you were my age, not everybody did, and it was cool at the time. You didn't get anything nice. Sometimes you didn't get anything nice, but you got something that was really robust, or was really, you know, it was just good stuff. So there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed looking at these old cell phones. I thought it'd be a nice trip back to the past. I mean, seeing this thing again is just, oh, that's waves of nostalgia. Especially this one. Especially this phone for me is nostalgia. Ah, that noise, man. Ah. Anyhow, I hope you enjoyed this video and enjoyed taking a look at all these, and definitely let me know if you have any war stories with cell phones from back in the day, especially ones like this that were just indestructible. Let me know down in the comments. But for now, I'm going to end this video. Have a good one, everybody. Ciao.